We are really swimming in scientific data these days, aren't we?
Absolutely drowning, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, look at PubMed, what is it, 38 million papers?
At least. And then add 500,000 clinical trials, plus all the specialized software, databases. It's just immense.
It's an incredible amount.
Yeah.
And the kind of paradox here is that this flood of information, which should be accelerating everything.
Right. It's actually creating a bottleneck, even for, really top-tier scientists. Just staying current is a massive challenge, let alone finding those key connections.
Exactly. Which brings us neatly to what we're diving into today, the FutureHouse platform. It just launched May 1st, 2025.
Brand new. Yeah.
And they're offering something pretty interesting. These publicly available superintelligent scientific agents, AI specifically for science.
Mm-hmm. And the bigger picture, their stated mission, is essentially aiming to build an AI scientist. It's about tackling that data bottleneck head on.
Giving researchers tools to navigate it all.
Exactly. Tools to help speed up discovery.
And importantly, it's not locked away. They've got a web interface, which is great for accessibility.
And an API as well.
Right, the API, the application programming interface. So if you want to bake these capabilities into your own lab's workflow, you can.
That flexibility is key, I think.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. Let's figure out how these AI agents actually tick, and crucially, how you, the listener, the researcher, could potentially use them to get past this information overload and maybe accelerate your own work.
Okay, so let's get practical. What are these agents? There are 4 main ones on the platform right now.
Right. First up is Crow. This one sounds like maybe the generalist?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's built for general literature searching, giving concise, scholarly answers. They highlight it as being good for API use, probably for quick lookups.
Okay, quick, reliable info. Makes sense. Then there's Falcon.
Falcon is the heavy lifter for literature reviews, deep dives. It's designed to search and synthesize apparently more literature than other known agents out there.
And it has access to specialized databases.
Yeah, like open targets, which is a big one for genetic information related to diseases. That's a significant advantage.
Okay, so Falcon for the deep, broad stuff. Next is Owl. It used to be called Has Anyone.
Right. And that old name tells you exactly what it does. It's laser focused on answering. Has somebody already done this specific thing?
Oh, wow. The amount of time that could save preventing researchers from reinventing the wheel.
Huge potential there, yeah. And finally, there's Phoenix. This one's a bit different.
How so?
It's labeled experimental, first off, and it's a deployment of something called ChemCrow. So its domain is chemistry.
Ah, okay. Chemistry tools.
Exactly. Planning experiments, reasoning about chemical processes. But because it's experimental, they're upfront that it might make more mistakes. User feedback is probably really important for Phoenix.
So Crow, Falcon, Owl, Phoenix. What really jumps out is that these aren't just, general AIs tweaked for science.
No, they're purpose-built, designed from the ground up for scientific tasks and challenges.
That feels important, and they've tested them rigorously.
They have. Crow, Falcon, and Owl specifically were benchmarked against major existing search models.
And how did they do?
The reports say they outperformed them on retrieval precision, basically, getting you relevant results and accuracy.
That's impressive. But they also did comparisons against people.
Yes, this is really interesting. They ran experiments comparing the agents against PhD-level researchers doing literature search tasks, head-to-head.
Yeah.
The agents apparently showed better precision in both finding and synthesizing the information.
Wow, okay. So better than PhDs in those specific tasks. That's quite a claim.
It definitely highlights their potential effectiveness.
So what's under the hood? What gives them this edge?
Well, it seems to be a combination of things. First, access. They have a huge corpus of high-quality open access papers.
Right, the data.
Plus those specialized tools and databases we mentioned, like for chemistry via Phoenix or accessing things like open targets.
But it can't just be about having lots of data. Good science involves judging source quality. How do they handle that?
That's a really good question. They say they use various methods to evaluate source quality, much like a human researcher would try to do. They don't treat everything equally.
Okay, so there's some kind of quality filter.
Seems like it. And another key thing is transparency. They emphasize that you can actually see the steps the AI took.
Like its reasoning process.
Exactly, a multi-stage process to show how it got to the conclusion. That's crucial for building trust, especially in science.
Absolutely. And the practical side, the web interface and the API that makes it usable, right? You don't need to be an AI guru to get started.
Right. It's built for scale and accessibility for actual scientists.
Which leads to another idea they mentioned, chaining these agents, using them together.
Yeah, that's where things could get really powerful. Imagine using Falcon for a broad sweep.
And then maybe to GRUDAS to zero in on specific gene links Falcon found.
And then OWL to check if anyone's already published on that specific link,
You could string together a whole research workflow.
potentially speeding things up dramatically.
They gave some concrete examples too, didn't they? Like identifying unexplored disease mechanisms.
Mm-hmm. Using Falcon for background, Crow for genetics, OWL for the gaps. They suggested that could cut down weeks of manual work.
Weeks. Okay, what else?
Systematically finding contradictions in the literature, that's a tough one for humans.
Yeah, wading through conflicting papers.
Imagine Falcon analyzing hundreds of papers on a controversial topic and spitting out, here are the specific points of disagreement. That tells you exactly where more research is needed.
That's incredibly useful. And critically analyzing methods.
Right. Going beyond the abstract, reading the full methods section to spot limitations that might not be obvious.
A deeper level of critique than just reading summaries.
Definitely. And the API enables custom pipelines. You could automate monitoring for new papers in your niche, for example.
Like a constant automated literature watch.
Or doing massive literature searches to provide context for your own experiments. Things that are just too time-consuming manually.
And for the chemists, Phoenix seems quite targeted, finding compounds.
Yeah, finding known hits that bind to a target protein, but maybe with specific rules, like needing good solubility or avoiding certain chemical groups.
Very specific searching.
And it goes beyond finding things. It can apparently reason about chemical space, like, is this compound new? Is it cheaper to buy it or make it? Can it predict reaction outcomes?
So a whole suite of chemistry-specific reasoning tools.
Pretty comprehensive for an experimental agent.
Okay, so summing that part up, the platform seems particularly strong for really digging into literature in detail and for those specialized chemistry tasks.
That seems to be the core strength, yes. The integration of deep analysis and specialized tools.
And if people listening are curious, they can try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's free to try. The website is platform.futurehouse.org. We can put that link somewhere.
We will. And the FutureHouse team seems keen for feedback.
Very much so. They're encouraging people to share how they're using it, what works, what doesn't, via X or email.
Which is admin@futurehouse.org.
Right. That kind of user feedback loop is vital for refining these tools.
Makes sense. Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, I think the FutureHouse platform is a really concrete example of AI being applied to tackle that huge information bottleneck in science. These aren't just toys. They're specialized, tested agents for serious research tasks.
Enhancing efficiency,
Yeah.
potentially accelerating discovery.
Exactly. By handling literature analysis, synthesis, even aspects of experimental planning in areas like chemistry.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound thought to chew on, doesn't it?
Which is,
As tools like these become more widespread, more capable, augmenting human researchers, maybe even outperforming them on certain tasks.
yeah.
How does that fundamentally change science itself? Not just the speed, but the actual nature of discovery in the coming years.
That is the big question, isn't it? A fascinating and maybe slightly daunting future to consider.